Hi, if you haven't seen any of my videos before, my name is Jake and I have something called avoidant personality disorder, and there's more videos about that on my channel if you'd like to learn more about it, but as a basic understanding, it just means that I have really extreme social anxiety. So today I wanted to do this video about a couple things you might want to keep in mind when talking to people that are socially anxious. And these are not things that you have to actively think about. They're just passive bits of understanding that can help make you and the other person more comfortable. And you don't need to know ahead of time that the person you're talking to is anxious. Just if you see that they're acting a little weird, it might be helpful. And I discovered these things just basically from anxious tendencies I have that tend to make others think that I don't want to talk to them when that's not actually the case. So I just wanted to explain a bit about that. So the first thing I wanted to mention is anxious mannerisms or physical symptoms that anxious people might show. So even if I'm not having a panic attack or something, and I'm just in public, just passively anxious, nothing in particular bad is happening, there are a whole lot of things that I might do, whether it's my body doing them or anxious mannerisms that I might do unconsciously. This is not an exhaustive list, but it is a long one, so I'll run through it real quick. I might avoid eye contact, or slouch, or pace, or force a smile, blush, raise or furrow my eyebrows, fidget with my hand or my jaw, freeze up, crack my knuckles, nod constantly for no particular reason, itch or scratch, blink more or less than would normally be expected, sweat, breathe heavily, or sigh audibly. And like I said, that's not all of the things that I do sometimes, and other anxious people may have different ones. But the point is, the person you're talking to is going to look uncomfortable, and that's probably going to make you feel uncomfortable and make you wonder if you did something wrong. So the short answer to that is that you didn't do anything wrong. I have these reactions because I'm anxious, but I'm not choosing to have these reactions. I can't help but show them, and if I notice them, I try to stop them, but usually there's not that much I can do about them. It happens all the time, and it isn't your fault. So basically, act as if these aren't happening when you're talking to someone super anxious that's doing any of these things. It's not that I'm going to actually believe that you didn't notice that they're happening, but I will notice that you don't seem to care, you don't seem to mind that they're happening, and hopefully I'll be able to get more comfortable around you. And another thing I want to mention are emotions that I might not show. So sort of the opposite, rather something you're seeing that I'm doing, something that you're seeing that I'm not doing. So with most people, I really don't show much emotion at all. The emotions I express are usually neutrality, mild amusement, mild resignation, or mild irritation. That's kind of it. So a limited range and intensity of emotions that someone is showing to you might seem like disinterest. It might seem like they're not caring what you're saying and they don't want to talk to you. But what you have to keep in mind about that is that all people show emotions at different levels. So an example I like to use is, have you ever met someone that seemed just a little too excited about everything? And you're like, I'm not really sold that you're actually that excited about whatever it is you're doing. And if you haven't met a person that naturally acts like that, then think of like a customer service worker who has no choice but to do that because that's their job description. And you know they're not super happy to give you a cup of coffee or to take your tech support call or whatever, but they have to say that they are. So you might subconsciously adjust the emotions of a person like that down a bit. So if they seem super excited, you might believe that they're not actually mad at you, but you just tone it down a little bit. You don't think that they're really super into it because it seems like a little too much. Or maybe you're that person and you think everybody else doesn't show quite as much emotion as you would expect them to, so you sort of adjust it upwards to what matches what you would expect. And that same sort of thing can extend to people with social anxiety, basically, because a lot of the time we just don't feel comfortable showing many emotions around most people. So it can seem like we're disinterested when we just go, yeah, that's cool, or something, and not a whole lot of a reaction going on. When in reality, it's just that we're uncomfortable and not used to showing intense emotions or more specific emotions around most people. Except for some people that we're super comfortable with. So basically, that can extend to other things too, like empathy. So if you're just talking to a random coworker and you're just venting to them and you expect them to just empathize in the way that people usually do, they might have a hard time with that. They might not be very convincing about it, or they might self-deprecate or something instead, just being like, yeah, that problem's even worse for me. When people do stuff like that, again, it's not because they don't care about you and they don't want to empathize with you. It's because they're bad at doing it, basically. So yeah, that's all I wanted to talk about in this video, and if there is interest in this subject, I might do another one talking about some more specific things, but these are just some simple things you can keep in mind, just things to understand, not really anything you have to do that can make your conversations with people that end up being anxious a little better, whether it's a stranger, a coworker, or whatever the case may be. So anyway, thanks guys, and see you next time.